Okay, we're going to call this meeting of the School Building Committee to order. Today is Thursday, May 11, 2023. Our first order of business is the approval of the April 27 minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Hugh Madison. Is there a second? Kathy, thank you. Are there any corrections? Oh, Mary?
I'm not looking at my copy right now, so I apologize. But I did just want to note two things. In item number 2, my name is spelled wrong, which really is not a big deal. And in item number 4, superintendent update, I know that our minutes are but a summary of what transpires, but while I agree that Peter spoke about the amazing energy of the first 2 opening days, I would be sad if anyone just read these minutes and thought that the only group of people that Peter called out were the contracted movers who were amazing. Because I recall him saying that the administration and the custodial staff and the teaching staff, and he was very careful to call out everyone. So if there's any way that we can amend those so that
We can get that.
everybody,
We can get that included.
thank you.
Okay. Any other corrections? Okay, seeing none, then all in favor of approving the April 27 minutes, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, so that's unanimous. That brings up an opportunity for public input. Is there anybody from the public that would like to address the building committee? Seeing none, then we'll go on to the superintendent's update.
I'd like to thank everybody. We are in our 4th week in a new building, and again, what I see and what I hear, especially from our guests and visitors. I hosted a collaborative of area superintendents and teacher leaders, and they all said, it's unbelievable that you just moved in because it looks like you've always been here. Classrooms, artifacts, but they commented specifically on student behavior and the routines and procedures of the building, that they were recognizing that there was just so much intentionality in everything that was going on around them, that it was hard for them to believe that this was that new. And again, just accommodations to all involved in the project, but especially during Teacher Appreciation Week, it would be a missed opportunity not to call out Rich and his colleagues at the elementary school who've done just an amazing job and continue to lean in. I had a chance to give Kelly Lyman a tour the other day, and we popped into Rich's classroom. Rich was teaching time, and again, it looked like Rich had been there his whole teaching career, and his kids were thoroughly engaged. And Kelly was so filled with gratitude, and she was just blown away with how beautiful the school looks. And so I did prepare a couple notes. Just wanted to kind of update you again, 4th week, and we just keep going deeper in our routines and expectations. Today was our first actual day of using milk dispensers. Interesting story that the vendors go out in a statewide bid, and there are no elementary schools that use milk dispensers. And so the one vendor that is under that contract is like, oh yeah, we can do that, but sent 4% milk for the opening day, which would be like butter for our kids, by the way. We're not going to serve that. So unfortunately, we had to send that back. But fortunately, it meant we had to go off contract and find another vendor, which happens to be Mountain Dairy. And so I'm just really proud. It seems full circle that we used to serve Mountain Dairy, and now our kids are back at it, eating vegetables and drinking milk from our community. So I'll be sure to share a picture with you guys and share more. I think they were going to start with the 4th graders just to slowly ease into cups of milk rather than cartons. So that's exciting. Community tours. So I've shifted now to thinking about how to best support the community. Every Friday I'm leading tours. We have well over 200 people signed up. In fact, this Friday, I think I have about 60 community members who are not directly connected with the school wanting to take a tour. We'll continue to do that right up until the ribbon cutting ceremony. And so hopefully you did receive your invites. We are doing an invitation only ribbon cutting ceremony on Friday, 9:30 to 11 a.m. that will feature those leaders that were close to this project and celebrate it and have some kids involved in helping to do the official cutting of the ribbon with the big novelty scissors. And then on Saturday, we'll open it up to food vendors. We have a live band, the Ampere Family Band will be playing. And we'll provide tours and just invite people into this amazing space. And Saturday will be 12 to 3 with that piece of it. So I do want to share just a couple of pieces that we're working on. Some of these are opportunities and some are a little bit of a challenge. So one, we've repeatedly heard that the noise from the Great Hall cafeteria area is a lot, as you suspect. But even with small groups of students, we're having a tough time hearing our students. We have used the sound equipment in our classrooms, which has been great, and I really appreciate that. But it feels like we want to know a little more about the sound, and it may be that we just need to get used to it. We're coming from 3 very small elementary schools, and so we've not seen scale. But there's concern from teachers not being able to, they hear it, but they can't distinguish what they're saying. And so I know you're saying something and I can hear the sound. I just can't gain the clarity to understand. So we just want to look into that. We've invited TSKP to help us think about that, to mitigate that piece of it. We also had a bit of a challenge with water. You know that we've been monitoring the level of copper. We're expecting that the state will officially put us on notice that we'll notify our families. We got ahead of this. We've been testing our water all along, and it looks great. So it is just the level of coppers that are slightly above action level, which is enough for the state to put us on notice. But our filter stations where the kids are drinking water or filling up their water bottles and we test those, the level of copper is well below action level. So that water is safe, and we'll continue to explore options. The state's message to us is to slow the mediation plan because it may just fix itself over time. So their suggestion is you don't want to put in a water treatment system if you don't need to, right? And so their advice was to just be patient. Copper plumbing does this, and it will pickle over time and reduce the amount of copper leaching out. And then the playscape. To be honest with you, that's been a bit of a challenge. We ended up closing the playscape just because there were widespread kind of reports of things that were loose and not right. There were some very minor injuries. And so just out of abundance of caution, I connected with folks to see if that seemed appropriate. And everyone's like, yeah, let's do that. And let's get the vendor back out to do an inspection, which is happening Friday. And so I'm very confident that not only will we get the right information, but the remedy will be quick right after that inspection. And so that is my report. Certainly, I would welcome any questions or comments.
Great, Ryan.
Well, first I'll pick up, I guess, on your last thing, which is, that'll be very heartening news for 8-year-old and a 6-year-old in my household about the playscape, that there's, because I get daily questions about the status and Dad, what are you doing? So that's great. I would just say though, yesterday had occasion with our new Chief of Shared Services and Administration, it being her second day on the job. Maria Capriola was walking her through a number of different town buildings, and we swung by the elementary school just with Bill Treach there to kind of lead us through some spaces, and we happened to be there on the lunch hour, and did immediately very conspicuously pick up on the sound that you're talking about. I was surprised that even in the library, the media center there with the door closed, it was quite noticeable. And, my son happened to be eating lunch in the cafe area, and when he waved me over trying to understand what he was saying, I had to kind of literally get right up too. So I could definitely understand there's a lot of sound mixing and bouncing around, and I can only imagine if you were, teacher, staff trying to, ferret out what's going on and what's being said, that there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. Appreciate what you're saying about the buildings you're coming from, and some of it is just making an adjustment to a new space. But I would say, and this is obviously not an informed technical opinion, but I think that while there may be some just adjustment to the new surroundings, kind of compromise, if you will, I think there has to be an opportunity to make a lot of improvement, because it is pretty challenging in there. So.
Anybody consulted somebody who deals with acoustics?
Yes, so Adam helped to reach out, and Jeff was quick to jump in. It sounds like we're trying to coordinate with a sound engineer or acoustical engineer that hopefully can do a site visit during one of our lunch waves to just get a handle on that, get some ideas of what are some possible remedies for it.
Steve, online?
Are we just looking at the sound in the cafeteria area, or what about in the classrooms? I've heard a couple of things from members of the community about classroom spaces.
Good question. We are hearing some minor challenges in the classroom, especially the main floor with the cathedral tall ceilings. However, in many of those classrooms, we're not deploying the sound amplification system that you voted and supported. That equipment is arriving, and we're training teachers as we go. And so in some of the cases, they just haven't had a chance to plug that in and give it a whirl. And then in some cases, it's really a matter of the more that we move in and there's student work artifacts up on the wall, some of that will help dampen the sound. And so some of the classrooms that I was in, where I was hearing some of those reports, they're a little sparse. And so I think just by moving some furniture around and having more of a lived-in experience will help absorb some of that.
Great, thank you very much.
Any other questions for Peter? Go ahead, Tony.
I've been hearing rumblings that there are complaints, and I don't know, including complaints about buses. What else are you hearing?
What would a conversation with the superintendent be like without talking about buses, right? So 90%, 95% are running on time with shorter ride times for our students. There are still some challenges, one related to a new driver on probably our most difficult run, because if you make a mistake like a wrong turn, there's no place for that bus to turn around. You're going to have to go all the way out down in the Gurleyville area to find an appropriate safe place to turn one of the larger buses. So that driver is getting better each and every day. She is super committed, taking feedback, and to the point where, during her first week, we had a staff member ride with her just to help, because it's not easy trying to navigate with kids on the bus and to learn our roads. But it's tricky. So that is getting better. And some of that particular run is long. So if you have a slight delay on it, you're going to have a slightly longer ride time. But all of our ride times are well below 45 minutes, which would be consistent with any year that we've had.
Okay. Seeing no more questions, thank you, Peter. That brings us then to the contractor architect OPM update. So Al, are you prepared to give an update, or I see Brian's also logged in,
Yes,
or Steve is there?
Steve is at a meeting tonight,
Okay.
another meeting, so I'm prepared to report.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Al.
Let's see, the first item I want to talk about is the pond issue. We did get a letter from Fussin O'Neill, and we responded yesterday. And the response basically said that we feel that we installed a pond system in accordance with the contract documents, and that further review we feel is needed to get to the main root of the problem. But we are prepared to do the work once we know what that problem is. Commissioning, there was a commissioning meeting this morning. Everyone confirmed we were down to a couple of items needing follow-up. The heat pumps, there's 3 heat pumps that require software updates. The work is scheduled for Monday, 5/15, which is next Monday. The town and the BMS controls vendor will be programming after hours and during the summer. There are 6 temperature sensors that need replacement. The material has been ordered, and the parts will be installed as soon as we get them in. The split rain cover plates for the WAPs in 6 locations we're going to mock up the one WAP will be mocked up, and it will be reviewed by Jamie and Chris for approval. And the AC commissioning is going to be scheduled as soon as the weather turns warmer. We haven't done the AC commissioning yet, which needs to be done. But we need to switch over to the AC. That's about it for commissioning. We did receive the approved change order for the sprinkler cages. And those parts have been ordered, and we'll install those as soon as we get those. It's not a long lead item. I expect probably the end of next week we'll have these installed. And the Playscape, following up on what Peter said, the Playscape review is 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's with Emmy O'Brien and their installation subcontractor. The work will be scheduled as soon as we get the full report of what needs to be done. We expect the work to take about a week, and it will be scheduled within days of getting the report. We can have somebody else here to do the repairs. That's about it for a contractor update.
Okay, a question from Steve and then Rich.
Hi, Al. With regards to the retention pond, I know there was some testing that was done, and I thought we had the results at our last meeting, but nobody had a chance to read them yet. What did that test result come back with?
All the test results that I've seen to date have passed. Maybe Adam can speak better to it.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So effectively, the subgrade, which is basically the main dirt below the topsoil that the trees are planted in, there wasn't an issue with that draining. The issue was just everything above that, letting the water actually get down there to drain, which is why the dry wells that were installed are doing what they're supposed to. The pond's not getting up to be an actual full filled pond. So the ultimate determination from Fussin O'Neill was that a portion of it needs to be stripped off the top and then do a deep till of the soil underneath to have to be not so compacted, to get rid of any of the stuff that's preventing the water from draining at the top layer and allow the soil to get down to the subgrade. At the OAC meeting this morning, we were also on the phone with the town engineer, Derek Delage, and the town planner, Jennifer Kaufman. And the other item that we wanted Fussin O'Neill to confirm was that whatever the resolution isn't a perpetual maintenance problem. So, in a year from now, you don't want facilities to have to go out there and keep deep tilling the bottom of this thing. So that was something that we wanted to go back and confirm, in addition to, did this get over compacted? Was there something with the soil? Was there too much silt? We know the test results show that the base of it is fine. It's just a function of what's on top of it that needs to be resolved. And we want to double check to make sure that once we're no longer having these meetings, it's not just a problem for Bill and Alan and facilities.
Can we just strip off the stuff that's non-suitable and just leave the base soils exposed?
That the extent of that is what we're talking about. There are trees and things that are planted in there. So I want to make sure we're not getting too far away from it. I mean, ultimately you could have it be a bed of rocks and it would drain like none other, but that's not what the original design intent was. That's not what the stormwater system was designed for. So that's what's going through the people that originally designed it to identify what's supposed to be there, what needs to be there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Rich?
Hi, I'm broadcasting live from my new classroom. I have several questions actually, and I'll try to make them short and maybe just do them one at a time. First of all, Al, Steve and Ben came out today and I directed them to a classroom. There was some concern about screws popping out or something like that. I didn't hear the whole story, but I don't know if they talked to you about that yet, but thank them for going out and checking in on that. And I was wondering about a couple of things. Number one, the HVAC system, and I don't know whether it's something new and it has to work itself out, but it does make a lot of noise, akin to either, depending on who's describing it and what room they're in, like a tea kettle boiling or being on an airplane. Is that something that will get better over time, or do we have to get used to that noise?
I would think we need to identify the issue and have the professionals come out and look at it and determine what's causing it to do that. It doesn't sound like that's the way it should be. You know?
Yeah, that one yet. So we'll bring that up with the folks.
Rich, is this
Okay.
all classrooms or just a few or yours?
Well, from what I'm gathering, it's the three, I mean, I haven't talked to other grade levels, but it seems to be the three middle first grade classrooms. The ones on the ends don't notice it, but the three in the middle do notice it. And but the end room, the one that has the alcove cubbies, that room is very cold as well. So there seems to be something going on with it.
This is on the main level, right?
Yeah, the main level, yeah, in the first grade wing. And like I said, I haven't talked to any other grade levels or anything like that.
My daughter's in third grade. She mentioned the same thing, Rich.
Oh, okay. And third grade is right below us, so that would make sense. So that would be my first thing that I would like to bring up. Secondly, I was wondering, I'm still seeing some blue tape in different parts of the building. Is that just residual, or is there still stuff there that needs to be finished? There's one right now on the beam way above me in my classroom.
Yeah, the blue tape is normally to identify a punch list item or something that needs repair.
Okay.
That's what it normally refers to in our business, but it could be someone who took a piece of tape off the wall and stuck it on the beam to do the repair. You know what I mean? Just to figure out the tape off. But yeah, that's something.
It's fascinating. My first graders, they love staring at it. I'm there. That blue tape is more exciting than I am. The other question was, I have two more questions and I'll make them fast. I'm noticing that there seems to be a lot of patchy places in the grass. Are we reseeding any areas?
Yes, they're reseeding. They've actually done a lot of reseeding, but anything that doesn't grow this season will definitely be reseeded until it's inspected by the landscape architect.
All right. And my last question, I promise. I'm noticing that a lot of the several of the classroom doors already have chips on the bottom. They seem to be easily chippable, and especially the art room door. I just bringing it to your attention. I don't know what's going on. There's a little chip in my door already, and I haven't even used a wedge to keep the door open or anything like that, but they seem to chip very easily on the bottom. And that's it.
Okay, Ryan?
I had gotten various and sundry feedback, and I think I shared some of this. I don't remember if I shared it with Alan before he went on vacation or if it was with Bill, but I think I did share with somebody in facilities, but I'm just curious. I guess I've been hearing various and sundry reports about a number of items, issues with appliances in the kitchen. And I guess everything from I think the dishwasher kind of constantly being on the fritz. And then I thought I heard, I'll probably have the term wrong, but I'll say a tilted skillet, a large sort of built-in skillet that kind of can tilt to have all the grease and stuff kind of, anyway, that somehow the way that was installed, it's not draining properly or it's leaking. And then I think I heard the same thing about the with the dishwasher, like water's leaking out the back onto an electric panel. And so these maybe all be actively being addressed. It certainly sounded like stuff you wouldn't expect to hear about in a brand new high grade, high quality kitchen. So I just want to make sure that, I'm sure the staff are going to do whatever they need to do to kind of make it work and kind of just put their heads down and make it work. But just want to make sure that, all these things are all under warranty in particular, that they get addressed. So
That came up at the OAC this morning. So Steve said he was looking into that, and we're culling the list of items to double check on that.
yeah, and that's great, Adam. And I guess and hopefully this would happen without me saying it anyway, but I would just say, make sure that whatever is being looked at, make sure it's really a global review, and you're giving, I would say, that the staff there an opportunity to do a full run through of all the issues so that everything is captured.
Yep. Talking with Mariah was part of that
Right.
conversation.
Thanks.
Right. Okay, Chris?
About the chips on the bottom of the door, Jeff, were door kick plates specified for the doors and just not put on yet? Or typically in an industrial type of situation, those kick plates help that type of thing?
Yeah, I think we should, what I'd like to do is just work with Al and Newfield to figure out, what's causing this and what is the, makeup of this door, first of all, because if there's something that doesn't feel right, if there's more than one that's starting to happen, there might be a lamination issue or something with some of these doors. So I don't believe we installed or specified kick plates on the classroom doors, primarily from an aesthetic point of view, and we've never really used them unless it's a really high traffic, like kitchen area or service area, where they're going to be bumping all kinds of parts and stuff up against it. So, and we haven't had that issue in the past. So I'm leaning on thinking that it might be the door itself. So we'll get to the bottom of it and figure it out. And to deal with it, we'll have to either replace the doors or see what's happening with the lamination and go from there first.
Any other questions? Okay, Rich?
Well, I'm sorry. I said I had one more question and I thought that was it, but there was one more thing that popped up. In the courtyard area, down by the art room, there's the stone wall there. And did we have a conversation about putting a capstone on it or not? There's no capstone right now. And I remember vaguely that we talked about it, but
Yes, that has been an ongoing issue that's been going on for too long. We're looking at the alternatives now. So yes, there's more coming on that based on this conversation with the OAC. But yes, it needs a cap.
Yeah, there will.
okay, thank you.
I just want to say thanks, Rich, for asking those questions and to piggyback on what Ryan just said, giving the people who are in the building the opportunity to talk about those kinks, we can only resolve and help to facilitate closure on things that that everybody knows about. So thank you for being that guy in the field. Your duties never end, Rich.
All right, Jeff, do you have an update, things to add?
I think Peter Dart pretty much covered everything. We do have a meeting on Monday regarding the curb cut potential there at the bus loop. So we're going to be meeting Mike Nintendo from the town. He's a building inspector, along with Gary from Richter Segan. So 11 o'clock on Monday, we'll be there discussing what he's going to be looking for should this little project go through, and make sure that we embody all those comments early on so that it doesn't become an issue later.
Just want to correct the record. It's Mike Super Nintendo.
That's right.
Okay, any questions for Jeff? Okay, Adam, I don't know if we've covered everything you were planning to talk about, just about.
Yeah, generally, there are some, a couple FF&E items that were on the punch list, got resolved today. There's still a few straggler items for replacement parts that are coming in. So those will get closed out as in addition to some of the additional furniture that was ordered. There's, I think, 8 chairs that were long lead. So those are going to be coming in probably just before summer. The site repairs are getting scheduled. We talked about that this morning insofar as the asphalt patching and how the lots are basically used every day, including Saturday, for Little League and that. So that's likely a summer target, but Newfield's getting that lined up to get scheduled. Some replacement door hardware to address some of the issues that some of the end users were having is scheduled to come in next week. So that should be resolved in short order. And just running through my list. Yes, that's largely it. There's a lot of closeout documentation has been ongoing and still will be ongoing. Things like state change order cleanup, getting those into the state to evaluate reimbursement potential, as well as Connecticut High Performance building documents, getting attic stock turned over to Bill and Alan. Just a lot of back end paperwork that everyone's working through. So nothing to note per se, but in addition to some of these cleanup items, punch list items, change orders, invoices, etc., that's what's been a lot of the focus with Jeff and Newfield and myself. As you get to the long tailed end of the project, it turns from ribbon cuttings into just paperwork. So lots of paperwork coming on the back end, which is a good thing.
Okay, any questions on that? Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about meeting schedules?
Yep. So we have obviously tonight and then our regular meeting scheduled for May 25th, which should be held because that's where the bulk of the invoices come from. Each meeting we've had sort of smaller packages to get some of these vendors closed out and get them paid out as they complete their work. At the next meeting, however, we can look at the sort of the locus of things in front of us to see if it makes sense to start whittling this down to a once a month meeting, if that's what the SBC would like to do. And it'd likely be the end of the month meeting to coincide with packets and things of that nature. Obviously, if there's something pressing or important that's needs to be authorized, for example, if there's some award over $10,000 that needs to be done that we want to get moving, then we can talk about keeping meetings moving forward. But this is probably a good opportunity to start planning to back down the time exposure if that so pleases the committee.
Did we provide a list of bi-monthly meetings for the of information, public meetings?
Yes.
So they're all scheduled through
Yes.
the full 12 months. So at
Yes.
this point, what we would be doing is canceling meetings.
Right.
Okay.
As appropriate.
As appropriate. Yeah.
But almost certainly we would have the end of the month meeting for a while to pay the bills.
There's still stuff going on that we might need to talk about.
Right.
So
Yes. Chris?
Yeah, I'm in favor of having meetings when we have pressing stuff to do, and I don't want to cancel any that would leave us short-sighted. And I just also want to chime in with what Rich has said. He's our best tester right now. He's living the building, and we need to have that kind of feedback, and at least until the end of the school year. I would just like to have the meetings sent out to us so we can have them on our calendar, because for me, it has been a challenge to keep remembering to put them on there. So that was a very helpful thing that Sharon did this time. And if that could happen and then we cancel them as needed, that'd be great.
Okay, all right. Okay, anything else? Adam, do you have other things that you're going to bring up?
Not as part of this update if we want to move to PCOs and invoices.
Okay, I think we're ready.
All right, let me share my screen here. Starting with PCOs, all three are from Newfield. And then there's one motion to make, which I'll explain at the end. So PCO 151, this is for installing a leak detector. The drawings had called out for leak detectors throughout, but one got missed. So this is one that was identified by the mechanical engineer to be put in. This is basically just underneath, I think it's underneath the heat pumps. So that way if there's a leak issue, it notifies facilities so they can catch it before it becomes a bigger problem.
Okay, any questions? Is there a motion to approve PCO 151? Mary? Yes.
Slacking. Like I'm new here. Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we approve PCO 151, dated January 4th, 2023, in the amount of $1,489.40 for a leak detector per RFI number 412.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Okay, I saw Chris McNamara first. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, then all in favor of approving?
I have a
Yep,
question.
Go ahead, Tony.
Did I just miss the explanation of why we need this?
It is a required or something that was supposed to be there. And there was a leak detector around all the other heat
Yes.
pumps, is that correct? And then for some reason, this one did not get put into the drawings.
It was missed, yes.
Okay, so it was not in the drawings?
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then all in favor of approving PCO 151, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Tony, did you vote? Okay, she was yes. Okay, all right, thank you. All right,
Next, PCO 170. This is a change order for some of the outlets in the kitchen. So when Mike Minto was going through and doing his inspections, one of the things he identified was that the kitchen receptacles, some of them didn't have the GFCI actual outlet. Jeff is coordinating with Kohler Ronan to determine whether or not the circuit was protected, because typically if you have the first outlet, the first person be protected, it covers the rest of the circuit. But one of the things that Mike had wanted was all of them have the individual outlet be GFCI outlets. So Jeff and Kohler Ronan will coordinate with me about what happened there in terms of was it a miss or if this was a code interpretation. But regardless, it was an item that was not on the drawing, so therefore that's the purpose of the change for Newfield.
okay, is there a motion to approve PCO 170? Chris? You-
Yeah, I move that we approve PCO 170.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, thank you. All in favor then of approving PCO 170, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay,
Last Newfield PCO. Just takes a minute. It's 176. This is for some changes to the sensory room. So once the building was largely complete, I believe it was Principal Rodriguez identified some desired changes in the functionality of the sensory room in terms of how the door locks or doesn't, the locking mechanism. I believe there's a desire for some glazing in there and some shades to allow for vision in. So those were not how the room was originally set up. So this is for changes to change it over to the desired function, including some doors with glazing and the new hardware set, etc. Jeff, do you have anything? Is that a general good summary of that one?
okay. Jeff's nodding yes, yeah.
Yes, but I was nodding by the time I got to find where my mute button is because you're sharing your screen. So it kind of threw me off. And I found a guy I'm going to email Al right now on a different subject on the stone cap because I met this guy, James Blair from Columbia, who does a lot of this work and he does really quality work. So hopefully we'll get that expedited. So I'm just sending that off now. Okay.
Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, any questions about the changes to sensory room, the updates? Is there a motion then to approve PCO 176? Mary makes the motion. Okay, is there a second? Madison, thank you. Then all in favor of approving PCO 176, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions?
So the last procurement item isn't there's no PCO or anything like that. It's for CT water for water testing. So because of the new wells and the startup of the system, in addition to the study that the committee already approved through CT Water and Weston and Sampson, which is forthcoming, there's also just a lot of copper testing, lead testing, et cetera, things of that nature. One batch of which is in the invoice packet for tonight. Another batch is in another invoice that I'm working with Bill and Alan to review that, let's just to be frank, isn't quite ready for approval yet in terms of its formatting. So the motion in the draft motions is for the combined value of the testing and the invoice that's on tonight's packet, as well as the value of the testing that's in that future invoice, neither of which has been approved by the committee, but facilities wanted to see if the project would be willing to take that on as a sort of above and beyond testing cost for the new school startup.
Okay, so then this is a motion. This would be a motion to approve the water testing through CT Water for the amount of $7,235.80. Are there questions, Tony?
So is this the ongoing copper issue that we're talking about?
I believe it's that, and there might have been some additional, not just the copper, but anytime there's been some water testing through CT Water, that might have also been for the bacterial component. That I'm not sure what all the individual components were. That were all coordinated through Alan and Bill. So that is portion of it. Then yes.
So is this designed to cover the entire testing protocol other than once everything gets settled, routine testing?
No, this is just for invoices that have been received for testing from CT Water.
But nothing prospective.
No, nothing for the future. No, that I'm aware of. No.
Okay, thank you.
But there are they've already done other services, which we will eventually get invoices before the committee.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so is there then a motion to approve this water testing by CT Water?
I would make
Oh.
that motion.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
Do you need me to read the amount or are we
Yes,
okay?
sure, read it.
Sure. Motion to approve water testing through Connecticut Water in the amount of $7,235.80.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? I see Bill, thank you. Sorry, Rich.
I was gonna say, Bill Treach is,
You forgot about me already.
Yeah, that's, thanks, Rich. Yeah, I remember, I actually wrote down Bill, so. Okay, all right, we have a motion and a second from somebody. All in favor then of the motion, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, thanks.
All right, and then I will reshare again with the invoice packet. So this is a partial invoice packet for the month. We'll have another one at the next meeting with Colliers, Newfield, etc. But this one is for a total of $97,338.89, including invoices from ACT for some of the copier moves, our commissioning agent, CT Water with the water testing I just mentioned for the first bulk of it for $4,500. Hilliard for the walk-off mats that were ordered through facilities. Our testing agent for some of the testing that was done at the pond, for example. The 2 invoices for our assisted listening system that Peter was referencing earlier in the classrooms. Those have been received by Jamie and the IT crew. WB Meyer, the movers for the last move over from the Vinton and Goodwin, and then our stormwater monitoring agent, Weston and Sampson.
Okay, there are questions about that? Mary?
So Adam, just to be clear, I'm trying to make sure I'm reading those lines correctly. The amount you have on there for Connecticut Water is 4,500 odd. And
Yep.
what we just approved was 7,000, but those are separate.
This 4,500 is a portion of that 7,000. We have another invoice that is being refined, where the total of the testing on that separate invoice would bring this 45 up to that 7 that was just voted on.
Thank you.
So have we, I'm sorry. So are we voting for this twice?
No, the first vote was just to acknowledge that those costs would be taken under the project funds. Now you're approving the invoice for it. It's kind of like approving someone's contract and then you approve the invoice once they're ready to get paid out.
I got it. Thanks.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the walk-off mats and the IMTL thing. We've taken votes on those before to approve it, and then now we pay it. Okay. have a motion?
So I would like to make a motion to approve the invoice packet dated today, May 11th, including invoices from ACT, CES, Connecticut Water, Hilliard, IMTL, Lightspeed, WB Meyer, and Weston and Sampson for a total approval of $97,338.89.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Chris, thank you. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Then that brings us to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mary, second. Madison, thanks. And with that, you can all signify your approval of the motion by logging off. We'll see you next time.
That
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.